Thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Doug Massey. I'm the EVP of Sales and Relationship Management at Insurance Technologies. And with me today, I also have Lasse Ljung, who is formerly the CRO of IXN, who Insurance Technologies acquired back in January. And he's now an executive on our sales team. So I think many of you may know him, have worked with him in the past. We're excited to have him as part of our organization. And then we have some folks with us today from two leading carriers and a key distribution firm who will share what they're experiencing on their journeys to create more modern and holistic technology platforms for their businesses, and ultimately provide better sales experiences for their agents and customers, and hopefully improving operational efficiencies along the way. So I want to introduce our panelists. We have Ryan Pinney, who's the president of Pinney Insurance. Tell us just a little bit about yourself, Ryan.
Hi, everybody. Ryan Pinney, obviously. I've been in the industry about 17 years, although I'm a second generation, so I feel like I've been here forever. Kind of grew up around the insurance industry and really joined our firm as we started to sell and distribute insurance products online. So we have both a direct-to-consumer operation that's been going for nearly 20 years at this point, as well as a brokerage agency that turns 50 next year.
Great. And we've got Teri Townsend, who's the Vice President of Application Services and Project Delivery for Sagicor Life Insurance Company. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your role, Teri.
Thanks, Doug. I've been with Sagicor overall probably about 20 years. Recently, the last 10 years in Arizona. And I have responsibility for all of our application delivery as well as development and project delivery across the Sagicor group of companies. So kind of spanning the Caribbean as well as the United States. And have been using IT in all of our locations, insurance technologies in all of our locations for a large number of years. Let's just put it that way, for a very long time.
Fabulous. Glad to have you here with us today. And then we've also got Laura Segraves, who's the Operations Director for Allianz Life Insurance Company of North America. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Laura.
Hello, everyone. Laura Segraves. I have been with Allianz for 20 years. I do have a background in IT and operations. I'm currently responsible for all of our e-application platforms, along with the business-to-business data exchange, so information that's sent through DTCC or direct to different organizations, and with data aggregators and things.
All right, fabulous. So we've got some great insight, hopefully that we'll hear today from these folks. I know I've known them for a long time, some of these folks, and they're fabulous. So by way of kind of introduction to our topic today, the technology has changed a lot, actually tremendously in the last 10 to 12 years. And a lot of the systems that were built back in the early 2000s were really point solutions. So from the 90s into the early 2000s, if we wanted a system, we would go buy a system that would do coding, or we'd buy a system that would do illustrations, or we'd buy a system that did forms or e-app, and each vendor kind of performed a task or a function, and everything we had at our office was a different application that just met a specific need. And essentially we had to link all those things together, and a lot of times they weren't connected, or if they were, they would pass a little bit of data one way. It wasn't really back and forth. And so it didn't really flow from system to system. And what we tended to find was that producers would sometimes use it for a tool if it saved them time, and other times they'd say, you know what, this isn't really helpful to me, I'm just going to use my old process. It was hard to get adoption sometimes with things. So depending on the tool and the process. But in today's world, people want solutions, not really point systems. So we're in the age of Amazon. We have expectations that when we sit down to shop, that we can compare products, price products, purchase, track delivery, do everything in one spot on a single platform, and start on our phone and end on our PC, right? So wherever we go. So even though things are still really incredibly complex behind the scenes to accomplish this between carriers and distributors in a highly regulated industry, the technology's evolved to a point where we can really create these holistic solutions and true end-to-end processes and bring all these systems together. So we want to just talk about there's a migration occurring. We're not all at 100% of where we want to be yet, but this is where things are kind of moving and evolving. And we just want to talk about some of the experiences that you're having and the opportunities that lie ahead of us and how that's really going to change our industry. So with that, we'll kind of open up the conversation. So.
Yeah, perfect. So I'll take over here. I'll start with, so one of my primary roles here at Insurance Technologies is working with our distributors. And Ryan, you and I have worked together for a while, for a few years now. And, I know Pinney is a very tech-forward BGA compared to the average BGA when I think about you guys. So tell us a little bit about what your producers are looking for in kind of your business technology stack today and what you're doing to address it at Pinney.
I think it's an interesting situation where, because we were early in the tech kind of forward-thinking approach to insurance, we're doing kind of technology online way back in the early 2000s, and then trying to figure out drop ticket solutions and other things into the mid 2000s, put us probably a decade ahead of some of our competitors, especially up until probably the last year where I think a lot of people caught up because of COVID and being forced to adopt technology. But for us, most of our agents and the advisors that work with us really are looking for simplicity. Mm-hmm. And the way that we kind of tackled that first was creating a single application form that we facilitated on the back end, kind of behind the scenes, Oz behind the curtains, so that they always fill out the exact same information, the exact same data 100% of the time, regardless of the carrier. And then we kind of did the heavy lift internally to get them to the right carrier, to the right product, to the right forms, everything like that. And that required a lot of working with the carriers to get approval for things like DocuSign and, being able to actually collect information and even sometimes do voice signatures and things like that. So simplicity probably is number one. I think number two is having an ability to see data in real time. That's something that has kind of become more and more relevant, I think. Our kind of approach to that has always been, we'll show you everything we're doing in real time as much as we can, as many ways as we can. And that ultimately has led to our agents really having kind of a single hub for all of their carriers, all of their data, all in real time, able to submit very efficiently. So I think speed, efficiency, real-time data probably are what they look for and come to us for most. And a lot of times it's surprising how that's lacking other places.
Gotcha. And so you mentioned, like, you started out with this approach of, hey, we'll build like a single platform, make it easy for the producer. But you're still doing a lot of heavy lifting on the back end. Has that kind of evolved over the years?
For sure. I mean, when we first started it, it was a kind of an informal process. We actually had a single person in our office who would kind of be an application coordinator. They would help the agent get it from the point of that ticket to completed with the customer. And I think early on too, we had a lot of agents who were wary of the process. They'd heard that, that this is how it would work, and carriers were trying to do some of the similar things at that time, and no one was really doing it well. So there was a big kind of learning curve and a trust curve there. But as time's progressed, I think, today we see a lot of things happening digitally. I think agents are much more comfortable with that drop ticket style of approach and to processing their business. I think they tend to be more willing to outsource that application fulfillment piece of it. There is obviously some concern about the service level agreements and the time it takes to get those things done. But I think the other part of it is we also transitioned our case management to be more proactive, which was kind of a longer learning curve. So like, we don't do the traditional brokerage model of carrier tells us, we tell the agent, assistant tries to get the information and it comes back and forth 3 times because you missed 2 pieces of data each time. Instead, our case managers get notified that there's something the carrier wants. They get it in pretty much real time, and they're actually picking up the phone and calling the customer. So again, some of that behind the scenes things, we just cut out the steps as often as possible. And today, really with technology, things like IXN's quoting platform, and now, Insurance Technology's quoting platform, and some of those tools have really made it easier to, again, quote, submit, and process, and have the back end services that you need.
Gotcha. So you started out with this, hey, let's make it as simple for the agent. We'll do some heavy lifting on the back end. That's evolved over the years, and we're moving towards the ideal solution, right? What kind of gaps have you seen that exist today? So, because we've come a long way, right? There's some great technology vendors. I'm not going to say any names, but their initials are like Insurance Technologies and IXN. But we've come a long way into where we are today. What kind of gaps do you see that we need to fill in order to get to the ideal solution? Maybe the Uber experience for selling life, for selling insurance, or Amazon approach type of thing.
I think the biggest one, and I know that you're a fan of these three little letters as well, and it's not IXN, it's API, right? And so APIs are the best way to describe it is the plumbing, right, of the insurance world or the technology world, really. And it's those pipes and connections between all the places. And by having APIs, it means you can exchange data quicker and you can get from point A to point B a lot faster. I think the challenge, the gap that's still there is while a lot of carriers and a lot of tech vendors have APIs, it's not always open technology or open access. So they're limited or you have to go through a lot of rigmarole to get access to those pipes. But I think that's because there's still this sense of that data or information is proprietary, and there is some truth to being having proprietary information or proprietary rules. But the advantage of using APIs, it doesn't show the rules, it just gives you the answer. So I can send it information and it can tell me yes, no, maybe so, whatever the answer that's appropriate. And so I think the carriers still have this, and there's a couple of them on this call, so we'll hear what they say, this mindset of that data is proprietary. We don't want to open up the pipes because we're worried what you're going to see or what you're going to do. Not realizing that the rules that they use internally behind the scenes are the exact same ones that they would be opening up to us, and we can't circumvent those. So I think that's the gap, that understanding of exactly what they get when they open the APIs, and how we, once we have access to the APIs, can build cool new technologies, and we can build different workflows, and we can go after different niches of clients and create customized experiences for that client set, but still utilizing the exact same rules. So from a customer experience perspective, having that access is still the shortcoming.
Awesome. Great, Ryan. And interesting you brought that up because Laura over at Allianz, for years carriers have kind of stuck having different solutions for both their life and annuities and everything else, and they've recently been using Firelight to build a comprehensive kind of business rules suite to push some of those things out. Laura, could you maybe tell us a little bit about what we're doing and some of the benefits you're seeing as an organization and your producers are seeing, perhaps? Explain a little bit of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. So we have all of our annuity and life products on one platform. We do have a lot of financial professionals that sell across product lines, so having that cohesive experience is really important. We've done several things to streamline that sales process. First, we created shared screens for capturing basic information like owner, beneficiaries, product features, investment options. We use one set of business rules for things like transfer forms, replacement forms, allocation rules, and even the rules that we use to pre-fill all of the final documentation for the sale. We have one set of shared features. So Google address lookup with bank account validation service, integration with Redtail and e-signature are a few examples. And really all of these things together really improve that producer experience by making it easy to navigate across product lines. So if a producer who completes a fixed annuity application followed by a life application, they're going to have a very similar experience. We are really focused in on the application process, but we've recently started providing illustrations up front as well on the same Firelight sales platform. So the great part about that is the information then maps over from the illustration to the application, really simplifying things even further. And in addition to that, creating a great experience and a consistent experience for producers, it's made a really big difference internally It's simplified maintenance for Allianz, which obviously is a win as far as savings in time and money. We also have straight-through processing in place for our annuity line, and some obvious benefits. There's not an application to key. It's very minimal, not in good order, so we try to really guide producers along. They always have the right forms. From a benefits perspective, a few years ago, our company actually completed a benefit retrospective, looking back at our Firelight implementation on the annuity line, which was done a handful of years ago. And they confirmed that we are saving over $1 million annually by streamlining some of these things and simplifying our rules. That savings then we're able to reinvest into our products, and it ultimately benefits the end consumer. And of course, from a straight-through processing perspective, it's not only good for us, but it's good for the producers and the customers. Everything happens faster. So really overall, I strongly feel that those things together not only help to drive digital adoption, but they provide an opportunity for increased sales because we are making it easy to do business with us. And Ryan mentioned APIs, so I want to mention one other thing that's really internally focused, but just a great benefit. And it really shows the power of Firelight and what they're able to expose. We're implementing a new policy administration platform right now. And rather than building all of the complex rules around suitability, our admin platform is actually going to call Firelight API and run the suitability rules engine because we already have it built there as part of the electronic application process. So it's going to be a really big win for the company.
Cool. It's exciting, Laura. Thanks for sharing all that. So Teri, similarly, you're kind of started out, came to market, I think, trying to be really tech savvy and keeping everything digital. And you've done some similar things. Tell us a little bit about that experience. And I think even related to the APIs, you're even using the same business rules to create an entirely different user experience in a consumer direct side on Sagicor now. So maybe you can give us a little bit of an idea of what you guys are seeing and what you're doing from a technology perspective there at Sagicor.
Hi, thanks, Doug. We really believe that producers and consumers want ease of use and a fast response. At the end of the day, that's what we hear all the time. Make it easier for us to do business with you. Make your platforms easy to use, make them easy to understand, and make the process as fast as possible. And so to accommodate this, we created an integrated platform. So from illustration all the way through to the application and delivery back to contract delivery, the entire process is integrated. Using APIs where necessary. We have been using APIs for a long time. We have found that APIs not only deliver data from one location to another, but it also allows you to transform the effect of that data that you're delivering. So you have an option to make the data look different according to the end user and the end experience, user experience. And so we've been able to utilize APIs to do wonderful things within our environment and deliver to our consumers and to our producers. So the other wonderful piece that we have, which we talk about every time Sagicor talks to anyone, is our accelerating platform. And our accelerating platform, we believe, has allowed us to be able to do great things, but it allows us to do a 2-minute delivery, a response, a decision back to a producer or a consumer within 2 minutes. And I think that has been tremendous for us. We're now taking that one step farther and looking to actually deliver the contract in 2 minutes. So the major piece behind this is to ensure that the agent is able to do business faster. He's able to focus on the business that he's selling and not focus on doing a lot of follow-up in the background to understand where his policy is. He submitted a policy, where is it? What's the status of it? When is he gonna get it completed? When can he deliver it to the client? All of these things that actually hold up the agents and frustrate the producers. And so that's an area that we're focusing very, very heavily. And one of the things that allows us to be able to do that is a lot of the stuff that Laura talked about, being able to have the validations of your banking information, and validations of Social Security, and validations, things that people may fat finger as you're typing in the application. And we're able to validate that during the application process, so that when the application comes into our system, that 2-minute delivery is on a good application, and we can turn around and issue the contract as quickly as possible. That's where we're heading. And we think that's the key to what the consumers and our producers are asking for, is fast turnaround. Allow me to sell. That's what I want to do. Allow me to bring in more business and make it easy for me to do that.
Yeah, that's fabulous. I think you think back to the days where you had to enter every single piece of data, and now it's like, oh, you want to look up the doctors from the National Producer Registry or Doctor Registry, and just pull in your doctor's information and plug it all in. Google's pre-filling all of your contact information. There's just so many things you can do, and then on your decisioning, reach right out and pull in script data and all kinds of things, and just make decisions and know what's going on in real time. And we're heading that direction for everyone. And tracking, you talked about the tracking, like we can track our pizza to our door, but where's my policy, right? So all those kinds of things can just come back so easily. It's just really, really, really exciting. So thinking about that a little bit, everything's moving at such a high pace from a technology perspective. What's kind of the future? What do you see are the big things that are going to change in the next couple of years that we should expect to see? And let's start with you, Teri.
Well, I think that all the validations we talk about, that's done through APIs. I think API is going to continue to revolutionize the technology platforms and what is capable and what is possible. What we see as a vision is to have a portable solution based on APIs and rules that can be deployed on anybody's platform. So you want to sell our products. Here is a portable solution. We give it to you. It's canned. You deploy it on your platform, and you suddenly have access to all the APIs and all the backend systems and all of our data. And you can actually then run and sell our products any which way you want. I just think that we've done this with a couple of distributors already. We continue to deploy this. Our Sagicor now is a perfect example of this. It allows us to just be able to have an end-to-end solution that can be deployed across platforms. And that for us is the future. And we are able to do that because of the products that Insurance Technologies continues to provide for us, to be able to provide that platform. And not to sound like a salesperson here for Insurance Technologies, but at the end of the day, the technologies that you continue to develop based on the things we ask for continue to allow us to be more innovative in our solutions to the producers and to the consumers with our direct-to-consumer platform. And so we really appreciate that.
Thanks, Teri. Ryan, what are your thoughts on the next big things that are going to really have an impact on your business and your producers?
I think there's this, especially in the NAILBA community, I think there's always this concern about, are the carriers going to replace agents, or the carriers maybe want to replace agents? And I think that's maybe a little misstated. It's that the agents who use technology are going to replace those who don't, right? Like, I think that's happening already. And I think the carriers who allow the producers to have access to technology that helps them be more effective in communicating to and with the consumer. And also on the flip side, allows the consumer to raise their hand in a digital process and say, I need a human to intervene and help me here. I think that those are the processes that are really going to take center stage in the near future, and maybe even happening today. And I think in a more long-term situation, that as you look at what's happening, and you mentioned at the beginning, this kind of the Amazon, time, right, where everything's click one button to buy it. The democratization of data has really started that process. I mean, we see it with what Sagicor is doing on the back end with their processes. I mean, the fact that they can render a decision in 2 minutes is because they can pull an MIB and a prescription drug check and an MVR, and they can do all this data validation about who the consumer is and other information in real time. And so I would almost go the step further, which is I think that we're going to be be doing something more like the credit card companies are doing today, which is pre-underwriting a consumer before they've even raised their hand saying they're interested. How we get there, probably through some large data platform like an Amazon, who has millions of customers who've already opted into a terms of service, and they're going to amend their terms of service to say that they can collect health information, and that's going to allow us to start pre-underwriting clientele based on demographics.
Interesting concept.
Wow.
Laura, what do you think? What are the big things on the horizon? Big changes?
Well, first of all, I think I just want to purchase what Teri already built at Sagicor. For us at Allianz, our biggest technology opportunity right now really is with life insurance. And it's a lot of the things that both Teri and Ryan just mentioned. We are aware that there are solutions that are readily available, and this platform can make those connections happen. But, you know, you mentioned, automated underwriting, being able to capture the personal health interview information electronically as part of the application process, which I know we could build that out easily with the configuration tools that are available. And then integrating with some of the services you mentioned, the DMV, getting health records or prescription checks. And the final piece of that, in my mind, is the ability to take, I know we can take digital payments now, but we need to be able to take digital payments on a continuous schedule to support life.
That's awesome. And Laura, you mentioned something there. You said doing things through the configuration tools. I'm just curious, how much of the work on your business rules and your systems and things, you know, are you guys doing on your own?
Yeah, we actually do 100% of our own configuration and only work with insurance technologies if we need something on the back end from a technical perspective. But, you know, I mentioned earlier the full suitability rules engine is completely built out in our instance of Firelight, and my team did that. They were able to do it. We didn't need assistance. And so it's been a really great benefit. And I do see that same thing happening with the personal history interview, where, you know, we have the skills and the tools are easy to use. We know what the rules are. I really think that we could do that, and it would support.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's one of the best things about the modern technology, right? Is you're not dependent on the vendor for everything. You can really, everything's low code. It's really super simple to go in and do things. And when you see a thing that comes in like this is an exception, or this didn't get caught in the NAILBA process, you can go in and make a rule, you know, that day, test it and push it out there, or even in hours if you need to, and get things tightened up really quick. So that's the difference in the technology today as well, is you can really control things and self-manage it. Then you can deploy it out to folks like you know, Ryan, Pinney, and distribution, where they can add their pieces to it and create a unique system, but each person gets to kind of control their rules. And again, using APIs and things as well. So really, really cool, awesome stuff. I think it's really exciting where we're going. So.
Yeah. So, and you know, we live in this world, right? We live in this world of Amazon, Uber. Here with COVID, you see like DoorDash take off, right? So very interesting technologies that really kind of drive things and truly are solving problems. And I think that's where we're going with our industry as well. You know, what I've seen over the last year and a half, especially, is a lot of people kind of got a little bit of a kick in the pants that, hey, we need to get there faster. We need to open our doors to things like APIs and more technological processes that solve the real problem. And you guys kind of talked about, you know, where you think things are going, but as the industry as a whole. So just real quick, I'm going to ask each of you. I'll start with you, Laura. Where do you kind of see the industry in the next 3 to 5 years? What are some of the biggest hurdles you see to us getting there? And then just like very short, how can we help you, Insurance Technologies, overcome those hurdles?
Sure. I think, I mean, we all know the insurance industry is behind the times, but I think what we really need to do, rather than looking at technology that's available within the industry and with our competitors, I think we need to look beyond. And really challenge ourselves. And it sounds like Ryan's thinking that way and Teri's thinking that way. I recently heard about a carrier that is pursuing using PayPal and Venmo for disbursements. And so we have to look outside and look at, the other companies that you mentioned and think about solving problems a different way. I think our biggest challenge, our biggest hurdle is that we have to do that in an environment where there's just continuously changing and more restrictive regulations. So it's really difficult. As far as insurance technologies and how they can help, we all spend a lot of time together, and I'm not trying to give a sales pitch either, but as Teri mentioned, it's been a very collaborative relationship over the years, not only just from carriers meeting, but meeting with distribution partners. And you've done a great job of really listening to people and helping move forward together. We've been moving forward together. So I would ask that, that's what we need to continue to do. And like I said, we've got to look outside of insurance industry if we're really going to make a move and get beyond this.
Yeah, maybe someday DoorDash will deliver policies, right? So Ryan, same question there. Where do you kind of see the industry from a distributor perspective over the next 3 to 5 years, and what are some of the biggest hurdles? How can we help?
I think there's still going to be a lot of new entrants to the insurance space. Very tech forward thinking, insurtech, companies, the ethos and bestows of the world to some extent. We'll continue to see those. That's just going to happen. But I think what that does at the same time is it raises the question of what happens to traditional brokerage, traditional distribution models. And I think that fundamentally that they're going to change. I think that we're already seeing that, but I also think you're going to see less of them. I think that there's still going to be large scale consolidation in the BGA and IMO world. And frankly, I think there's still going to be a lot of consolidation in the carrier world, and it's going to be reverse of what most people think. It's going to be, I personally believe it's going to be the insurtech companies with lots and lots of VC buying up smaller insurance companies with a lot of legacy systems and technology debt. And they're just going to say, we don't need your tech. We've got our own. We just want your A rating or whatever financial stability you have, and off to the races. And it's going to change what happens, I think, competitively, both for carriers and traditional BGAs and distribution. If we're not tech thinking, and if we're not able to quickly get rid of our technology debt or legacy systems that are causing us to go slow, we're going to be in a bad way 3 to 5 years from now.
Teri, what are your thoughts?
I think that's a really good point. I gotta, we live with technology debt every day. And if we don't get rid of that, we can't move forward. So I really gotta agree with that. I think that we've been talking to insurance technologies about the next stage and the next phase and what we do next and where we go from here. And we're really happy to see the IXN platform. That allows cross-platform quoting. I tend to think that, if you've got a really good back end that you can do the great things that we're doing, and you can use APIs to get the data and present the data wherever on whatever platform you need to present it, then I think that it gives the producer the flexibility to be able to sell from anywhere, anytime. He can be in a ballpark, he can be in a bar, he can be in a pub. He can be anywhere he wants to be, and in middle of the night, 2 o'clock in the morning, and he can be doing quotes online. He can be comparing companies and comparing products online and quoting and shooting off a PDF to a client with a text. That's tremendous. I mean, that really is tremendous. We weren't there a couple of years ago, and this is I think, a great direction. And I know that Sagicor is already using this platform. So I'm really happy to say that as well. But I think that it brings the Amazon experience. When you go on Amazon and you think about Amazon, you want ease of use. You want everything in that one little, for me, it's the phone, and I go on the phone on Amazon and I can compare products. I can compare prices. I can then hit a button and I can buy. you know, and I think that that's where we need to make it that easy for clients to do business with us. And I think that when you get to a point where a producer can compare products and generate a quote, regardless of day, the time, whatever it is, you know, where he is, he can, that's moving things forward, because the back end works. We know the back end works, and we know the back end is fast, and we know we can get the information to that producer quickly. We know we can close the sale for him quickly. But the fact that he can actually see the products and compare the products, I think that's a great first step.
That's awesome. That's a great way to close. I know we're out of time. I hope this was a really exciting session. I loved hearing some of the ideas and some of the things that are going on out there. Thanks for your participation. We hope everyone has a great NAILBA experience, and we hope we can continue driving forward to make a great experience for agents, producers, and consumers, and really grow the industry. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.